Hey everyone, and welcome to the Therapeutic Podcast. As the name suggests, this podcast is everything about therapy and mental health, hosted by two counseling psychologists who have a lot to say and who would otherwise just sit beside a fireside and talk about it. So instead, here we are. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Therapeutic Podcast. Our topic for today is something that every psychologist, at least once in their life, gets irritated by. I know there's a myth that psychologists don't get irritated, they don't get angry, but this is one thing that makes their blood boil at some point. And that thing is posts that say psychology says, because we have studied intensively and never found any line in our textbook that says that psychology says this should happen or that should happen. And our episode today is where we're probably going to talk about why posts such as that says psychology says so and so is not exactly accurate. Because while we feel like these posts might apply to us, they are not exactly accurate and they do not apply to everyone. At that point in our life, we might feel like, okay, this is for us, this is not for us. But then it is not true. Which actually reminds me, Meenal, do you remember while we were on Facebook as young kids, we had these teenager posts that were really famous?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like, the with the background that was green and orange, and every post that the teenager post dropped, at least me as a teenager felt like, oh, that was written for me. I
Oh,
am
okay,
going
yeah.
through this right now. Yeah, those. But I felt like, how did they know I'm having these issues? That's so right. It's tough being a teenager. But now when I sometimes look back at it, I said no. I mean, it's not accurate. Not every teenager goes through it. But the thing
Hmm.
with psychology says posts are that they apply to everybody, like at least all age groups. And
Hmm.
maybe even when we're old, we might feel like, oh, this is for me. So what Meenal and I are going to do today is we're going to be giving each other psychology says statements, and we're going to try and debunk them, if debunk is the right word. But we're going to actually talk about what psychology truly says about these things, and hopefully they solve your doubts a little.
Sure.
Let's start.
Let's begin. Yeah.
Meenal, the first one is psychology says pain makes you stronger, fear makes you braver, and heartbreak makes you wiser.
So see,
Give
this
reason.
is feels like you just gave me a 10 standard board exam question. Now, give reasons. All the problem with these kind of sentences is that they are so generalized in nature. So when the as the first line says, like, pain makes you stronger and the fear makes you braver. All of these things are very, how, again, the kind of things that we used to hear in our teenage years also, that if you go through a heartbreak, it's only going to make you stronger. The more you go through the hardships, you're going to get, जो ये लाइनें लिख लिख के लोग अपने आप को स्ट्रांग बनाने की कोशिश करते थे. So I guess it comes from that. I think the intention is to tell people that pain or fear is not very bad, or heartbreak is also not very bad. You can come out of it and you can come out stronger. But then adding psychology says to it does not really give it any kind of weight, or does not make it scientifically evident or scientifically correct. So as much as I would like to believe that heartbreak makes you wiser, I'm not sure it applies to everyone. And I don't think that every pain can make you stronger, or every fear can make you braver. It's good for us to believe in those sentences if that helps us tackle a situation that we're in. But no, this has no research backup. This has nowhere can you individualize or apply it to a larger audience that if pain comes to you, it's going to make you stronger. So, yes, that's all I can say about the statement.
I think these statements usually try to be motivational of sorts, like you said, to encourage people to do better.
Hmm.
But then again, like you said, adding psychology says does not make it scientific.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take another for example. Like if someone can't cry, he is weak.
I think crying is given so much importance in our society. You
Mm,
cry too much, you don't cry at all, you should cry in moderation. All of that is measured. I think even during the death of someone, how many days you cry or how much you don't cry is also looked at. Like people do observe these things that, oh, this
mm,
person didn't cry at all, or this person has
mm.
been crying, and I think it's enough 3 days, 4 days, that's it, stop crying now. That happens, right? So, this
Yeah.
statement that says if someone can't cry this week, I don't agree with it. Surely there are people who genuinely can't cry, and I have had people come and tell me that I can't seem to cry for these things. Like my heart is absolutely breaking, but I can't take that out in the form of tears. And I think
Mm,
crying is important, like even physiologically, because it helps clean your eyes and all of that stuff. But then I think everybody has a certain threshold, no? And there is a certain way everybody expresses their emotions. If somebody can't cry psychologically, we might actually go in the direction of them probably having repressed emotions, that they are not fully feeling maybe what they have to feel, and that is why they can't cry. But it can also mean a bad thing psychologically, saying, ki, "Acha, if you're not crying, then like I said, you're not expressing your emotions. And if you don't do that, those emotions are bound to come out some or the other day. It might not
mm.
actually come out in the form of tears, it might come out any other way. So if you can't cry, it does not make you weak, or if you cry too much, also, it does not make you weak. I think just maintaining a healthy balance, like we've discussed this in our previous episodes as well, where maintaining a proper balance is important. And sadly, I think even if we look at it, boys in general are asked not to cry as young kids. So maybe that is also one of the reasons why people can't cry, because every time they try to cry, they remember people telling them that, "Acha, you're a boy, stop crying for these things." So
Yeah.
nobody teaches them that it's okay to cry for this thing, it's okay to cry for that thing. Just a boy crying is like, no, don't cry. This is such a small thing. So when do you decide which is a small thing and which is a big thing and when you should cry? Like that does not happen, no? Like
Yeah.
for a child, losing a toy is an extremely big thing. But if a parent tells the boy that stop crying like a girl, then for the boy it's a big thing, but then the boy thinks, oh no, this is a small thing. So all of that also matters. It does not make you weak. It probably means you were not allowed to maybe express your emotions entirely. What do you think, Meenan?
It makes a lot of sense. I think the word that they have used wrong is weak here. Because they can, as you said, there can be a lot of reasons why a person cannot cry. It can come from conditioning, it can come from past learnings, or just simply because, there are so many pent up emotions that it's difficult for you to, it gets overwhelming when it all starts to come out, right? So you can't do it all at once. And somatically also, it makes sense because when we have, there are certain outlets, right? Like when you have processed an emotion, sometimes you yawn, sometimes you sigh out, and sometimes you cry. But if those emotions are not processed, it's all there inside you, it's repressed, it's suppressed, you haven't gotten a chance to take it out. So of course it's going to be difficult for you to cry or feel that kind of relaxation in your body. So yeah, makes sense. I think this sentence could have been very close to what psychology says, but I think they just went with the wrong words. Yeah.
Yeah, conditioning maybe.
Yeah. Yes. Mm.
Okay, so our next sentence for you, Meenan, is psychology says if someone eats in an abnormal manner, he is tense.
So there is half truth in it, in the sentence. And I know that when I say half truth, it also sounds kind of dangerous because it shouldn't be the half kind of truth that is more dangerous than a fully false statement. So, I mean, the research says that, there is some relationship between how you eat and your eating patterns and the stress that you're experiencing. That is definitely there. There is connection between your eating manners and the stress that you're experiencing in your life. It is also said when you're under stress or you're कुछ tension है आपकी life में, there are 40% of people who increase their appetite. You lean towards eating more food that is rich in sugar or has more of calorie because that's going to make you feel better. So some people increase their diet and 40% decrease their diet. And there are 20% also who do not do anything about their diet. They're just experiencing stress in a different way. So yes, while I can say that, there is, it makes sense when we compare our eating habits with the tension or the stress that we are experiencing in our life. I don't think we can again generalize and say that it applies to everyone. But yes, if
Yeah.
you see someone whose eating habits have changed recently, maybe it is time for you to ask them the question is if everything's okay, and you can provide that kind of support to them. All right. So next sentence is psychology says if someone gets angry over petty things, it means he needs love. What do
I
you
think
think, Zainab?
with this sentence, what happens is, if we do know somebody who gets angry over petty things, our first response is ki, listen, let's not talk. You know, in Hindi we say na, iske muh nahi lagte. Because
Hmm.
this person is going to give me a reaction that I'm not going to like. But on the other side, the philosophical side might say, oh, he needs love, which I think being angry is a very natural emotion. Anger is natural. So if the person is feeling angry over certain things, it can be because the person feels wrong or the person feels like this shouldn't happen the way it should. And the anger sometimes also comes from the fact that we have certain expectations for ourselves and from people around us. And when those expectations don't get met, or even if those expectations are not voiced out, we get angry. It is our job to voice out these expectations, but when we do not do that, it can form a miscommunication, and then we might get angry over petty things. I don't. Everybody needs love for sure. I don't think people that are angry more need more love. People that are sad more need more love. It's just everybody needs love. Everybody needs understanding. I think maybe what we can say is that the person does not feel like they're being understood by people. That might be one of the reasons why they're getting angry again. A lot of the times it depends on various things, right? Your mood, your emotions depend on a lot of factors. You've probably woken up angry. You're probably angry because of something that happened to you, and that's just passing on along with you throughout the entire day. So for the other person, maybe like, why are you so irritated today? Why are you getting angry so easily? But they're just having a bad day. So uh, just saying that every angry person needs love. I mean, I don't know. It's a very. What do you think, Minal? I mean, I feel like they do need love, but just saying that, oh, if you're angry, let me just come hug you. That person probably punch you in the face. I mean, you know, I'm angry right now. Stop touching me. But what do you think?
No, I agree. I agree. Again, I think anger is a very outwardly emotion, right? Like
Yeah,
it is something that shows, but I think it's developed from a lot of, like, I think it has a starting point. Let's say something happened, you might have slept wrong, and then you woke up groggy, you're not feeling very good, you did not sleep well, and
yeah,
then you wake up, the I can only need one small reason as that breakfast is not a choice, so I'm just gonna get angry. So as small as this can also make you feel angry, and it's not necessary that there is something a bigger reason behind it. It's just that something's not to your liking, and it can also be because you were sad or disappointed by something, and that has built up to anger. So
yeah,
anger can have a lot of reasons behind why it has come out like that. So you cannot really conclude that that's the only reason of that, because the person does not have love, they can get angry. Yes, this is one of the reasons that if they do not have love, they can get angry at little things, can get irritated, but that's not all. Again,
yeah,
as I think this is something that's common in all the sentences, that it cannot be applied at every situation and on every person. So I
yeah.
think that should be kept in mind when we read such sentences. And if at all you come across these sentences, please make sure to double check it before we apply it to on
Yeah.
ourselves or on people we love.
You know, this anger thing also reminds me of this one post that I've seen on social media where the person says that, when everything is testing your patience and the last straw is when probably a piece of your clothing gets stuck on the door
Yeah.
handle, and you're like, that's it. I've had enough today. So even these little things, like you said, they build up, and you just burst out. And that's when people think, oh, she's getting angry just because his
Mm.
shirt got stuck. But that's not it. I was
That's
angry
not it.
from before. This just
And I think
continues.
this post is trying to tell us that only, that when someone's getting angry at little things, you should probably go deeper into why he's getting angry. It's not because his shirt got stuck in door, maybe because something has happened in his life or something is
Exactly.
going on with him. So it's an invitation. You can invite them to let you know what is going on. Probably, I think this is an indication, but and let's not assume that it's only because of the lack of love.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Psychology says you are depressed because you know that you're not what you should be.
Okay. So this sentence is kind of controversial, and it brings a lot of wrong nuances or wrong things you can learn about depression. First of all, because it uses the word depression here very lightly. And so because we know that depression has relation between how we feel about ourselves. So that is one of the major categories that we look upon when we are dealing with someone who has depression. So again, because this sentence says that you are depressed because you know that you're not what you should be, I cannot deny it. But I cannot say yes to it at all, because being depressed is a lot of things. It's an umbrella. It has so many things that you should look upon. It takes care of how you look upon yourself, your self confidence, your self awareness, how your physical health is, how your chemicals inside your brain are operating. Depression is a lot of things. And you cannot just compare it with just one thing of how you're feeling about yourself and say that a person is depressed. There is a bundle of research that's been done upon finding the causes of depression, and I don't think it comes down to this one sentence at all.
Yeah.
So I don't want to comment a lot about depression. I am not an expert on it, but I can definitely say that just because you know that you are not where you should be is not a cause of depression. It can make you sad, it can make you disappointed, but to get the diagnosis of depression, it's a lot of other things that you should think about or take care of or go to a professional to talk about.
If you've been diagnosed with depression, this can add on to it a little bit, but
Right.
this cannot be an entire cause of why you're suddenly going to be depressed.
So let's move on to the next statement, which says that psychology says pretending to be happy when you are in pain is just an example of how strong you are. And this is very similar to the first sentence we did.
This is one of my favorite sentences because a lot of times as young children we are heard, oh, you're my strong bacha, you're not crying. Everybody else was yelling and screaming, but she was all quiet and she wasn't crying. I think uh, again it comes back to what we discussed before. If you're upset about something and you're not expressing it, that means you're just repressing it.
Hmm.
And I don't know that sometimes there are situations where you are required to step up and probably not show those emotions because you have certain people to take care of. And this usually happens in cases of death, where if you're an older child or if you're a parent or single parent who's lost a partner and you have to take care of your children, you end up not probably expressing as much as you would have otherwise, because you are asked to be strong and you yourself decide, no, I have to be strong for these people. If they see me breaking down like this, they are also going to break down. But I've also realized that at some point, again, a balance is required. If there are cases of people mourning the death of a partner so much that they refuse to, they just can't take care of their kids. Not refuse to, but they can't because they're overwhelmed with the pain so much. But there are also cases where people don't mourn their partner because they feel like they have to be strong for their kids. But somewhere the kids might feel like, why isn't this person mourning the death of so and so person? So if we are in a place of, let's say, not authority, but we have responsibilities, then I think it's also important to express your emotions properly. Again, we are not taught how to express our emotions. We I think we don't even express our happiness entirely. I mean, usually we know that we're happy from the inside, but we don't know what to do with all that happiness. And someone might be like, "Oh, why is she so excited?" So I think the same way, uh, none of our emotions we don't know how to deal with it. At least we're not taught how to, which we need to. So pretending to be happy when in pain, it's okay. Just cry. If you're hurt, just cry. If you're angry, just do it. Just be angry. It's okay. And again, like Meenal said, go to a professional who can help you with these emotions and how to deal with these emotions properly so that you don't fall into these traps that tell you that, Acha, you're very strong if you're not showing that you're sad or, exhausted in some way. And I think this also leads to burnout. What do you think, Meenal?
Definitely. Imagine not being able to show your true self or what you're feeling at all the times, and you have to control because you have other people to protect or for whatever reasons. How exhausting can that be? It can also lead you to believe things that you might actually not be, because when you're not expressing, you're sort of lying to yourself too. So it can lead to sort of an identity crisis. I mean, not exactly in those words, but yes, a shift in
Yeah.
identity that you can feel that, okay, I'm not who I think I am. I am showing something else. And then there is this another person inside me who has been feeling these things but has not never gotten a chance to take it out.
I have something to say. Do you think both of us, we sound a little privileged when we're talking about these things, like expressing emotions and doing this and doing that? Like, there is an entire section of the society that does not have the liberty to, sit and feel their emotions and stuff like that.
I think I agree.
Like, if it's somebody from a lower income background who's lost a parent, the mother's never worked. I mean, her bigger tension will be कि पैसे कैसे आएंगे घर में, तो वो कहाँ से बैठ के अपना इमोशंस एक्सप्रेस करेगी. I don't know if you know Aditi Kaul. She's on Instagram. She's an art therapist. She was basically on another podcast. She was talking about how when she was doing her training in art therapy, she was required to go to this home that had children, and she was helping these children express their emotions and all of that through art. But then every time she would come back home, she realized that the children did not need that. The children just need to be put into a safe home. Like the children need to be protected.
Hmm.
Right now expressing their emotions was not the main point for them. It wasn't the major part of their life. They needed to be safe. They needed to be children somewhere, and then later they could learn how to express themselves and deal with their emotions and stuff. A lot of people sometimes we do. I mean, both you and I do talk a lot about how it's important to express your emotions and everything. But of course, for some people, this is also a privilege to do. For most people, they do not have that luxury. It's just get set go every day.
The kind of knowledge some we have, or when we talk about the psychoeducation we give about, let's say, nervous system, or how you can be in the fight, flight, or on
Yeah.
freeze mode, it is an information that should be accessible to everyone. So just knowing this knowledge, I think, again, as I am saying, I'm realizing that that can also be a big privilege given the condition of education in our country. There are a lot of people who do not or may not have access to this, and it's possible for them that. And I think these quotes do exactly that. They are, kind of hopeful somewhere. Like, I was just reading the another quote that said, psychology says everything happens for a reason. Don't think too much. Trust the process and everything will be okay very, very soon. For this episode, we can say that yes, it's not research backed or it's not scientifically proven. Of course, it's true, but it gives hope to a lot of people and it applies to a lot of people. So, us sitting here in sort of privileged rooms, we can say that you should be able to feel your emotions. You should not repress your emotions, but it's possible that there are a lot of people out there who do not get that chance at all and do not have the time to even think about this. And they might be sort of living their life in the fight or flight mode, in the survival mode, because that's what life has been to them. The reason of doing this episode was also to understand the difference between motivational quotes and the quotes that are backed by psychology. So for that purpose, yes, I think we can say that tending to be happy when you're in is not an example of how strong you are, right?
Moving on, meanwhile, this one's for you. Psychology says if you don't control your emotions, it will be manipulated against you. You got to train your mind to be stronger than your feelings, or else you lose every single time.
So when I first read this sentence, it kind of felt like out of context to me. Like it was taken from a bigger essay or an article that was written on some other topic, and then it was taken out because it sounded positive or motivational or whatever. First of all, that it's kind of out of context, and when I read it, it sounds very corporate to me. Like it is said in the when if you're in a corporate setting that if you don't control your emotions, it can be manipulated against you. People can use it against you. Your anger or your outburst or your negative emotions that come out can be used against you. And it also feels kind of religious to me in the terms when it says control your emotion. I don't think in psychology we would ask anyone to control their emotion. It would be more about regulation of it. The process of recognizing, understanding, acknowledging, and then regulating. So,
Yeah.
but then we would never ask anyone to control their emotions. So, saying that you have to train your mind to be stronger than your feelings, this is something that you hear in the religious context more.
Yeah.
I don't think it can come under psychology per se. And again, it is generalized and it is not scientifically backed at all. Or else you lose every single time. Again, it's not specified what is it that we're losing here. Are we losing our emotions? Are we losing our identity? Or are we losing our ego? I don't know.
Yeah, for the last sentence that says you got to train your mind to be stronger than your feelings, I think this sentence would be more appropriate if we said, if we removed feelings and probably put thoughts in it. I mean, a lot of times we do say that we are not our thoughts. We have a lot of thoughts throughout the day, but acknowledging which thought is going to help us and which thought is not is also important. So
Hmm.
maybe if feelings is removed and we put thoughts in and we say that Acha, you are stronger than your thoughts, because a lot of times what we think we end up feeling, and the entire process happens. No, so
Right.
feelings can be removed, put thoughts in it, and we say, Acha, okay, you are not your thought. Like just because you think you are stupid does not make you stupid. It reminds me of that post that says, no, I'm a sucked banda, sucked londa, whatever that thing is. It reminds me of that.
That's very true. I think it was nice how you said we can if we replace feelings from thoughts, it's going to make a huge difference. Yeah. Okay, so our next sentence, Zainab, it's for you. It says, you know too much psychology when you can't get mad because you understand everyone's reasons for doing everything.
I love this. Okay. Untrue, very untrue. I think the both of us have also put up a reel on our social media where I'm very clearly, openly saying that I judge people who do something I don't know what, but I am saying that. Yes, I think studying psychology does maybe give us a better understanding of human emotions and all of that stuff. But that does not mean that every time we're having conversations with people, we are going to reason their actions. We're not going to say, oh, maybe this person has done this. That's why they are like this. I mean, then that way everybody's going to be excused for everything that they do that's not right, which is not done. um, we do get angry. We don't get angry with our clients, of course. If that's what this means, then that does not happen. But in general, in life, again, we might understand why somebody is feeling a certain way, but that does not mean we will not get angry with them. Maybe, Meena, do you agree that when we look at maybe cases of abuse, and we later find out that let's say it's a man that's abused a woman, and we find out that the man has had a really troublesome childhood, let's say. So we
Mm.
might understand where or how he's, why he's become the way he is, but we as humans, or we as psychologists, will not excuse his behavior. I mean, at least I have not reached that stage. Maybe, what do you think?
I think we need to draw a difference between um, understanding a behavior and understanding the
Yeah.
action.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, understanding the reason or the feeling behind it and understanding the action. It's you can be a person who's become angry right now, but
Yeah.
it does not give you the right to, be violent about it. You can be disappointed or you can be sad, you can be a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, but the kind of actions that you choose would still needs to come from a place of human. Your actions cannot be justified just because the intent
Exactly.
behind is understandable. Psychology is also a study of the mind and behavior and how your brain operates, so it can give you a better understanding of why the person is feeling the way they are feeling. And I think it's a
Yeah.
very important knowledge, it's a very important piece of information you can have to deal with a situation, but
Yeah.
it does not at any point gives you the right to choose your actions that are harmful for other people or
Exactly.
for yourself. It's a great area in terms of, you learn to empathize with that person. You
Yes.
learn to understand the patterns that must have led to them doing this thing. I think another way of looking at this sentence is that I think they're trying to say that reading psychology can help you understand the reasons behind people's behavior and emotions.
Yeah.
If we take it in a simpler way like that, then I think it makes sense. It's true.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Maybe.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Like you said, we are taught how to empathize with people. So
Hmm.
then the sentence makes full sense.
I think from this, the reason of us doing this episode was so that we can understand the difference between scientifically backed statements and statements that are there for your own motivation, or they come from a good intention, but it's possible that they may not directly apply to you or to a large population, because these are generalized statements, they don't have evidence behind it. But yes, please do use them if they come to you as support, as something that can be good for you, and if you feel comforting reading them. Let's not attach the tag of psychology to them, because psychology is a science, and a lot of things that we do or say or apply to our clients or to ourselves is a lot of people are taking a lot of their time out to do research on that, and then it is out there field for us to apply.
Remember that psychology says a lot of things, just not the things that we mentioned today.
That's true.
So, yes, like Nina said, don't say that psychology says these things. Just put your name and say that "Acha, I say these things, and we're good to
Yes,
go."
that'd be more motivational. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.